What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the aircraft that controls War Thunder's future, the McDonnell Douglas F/A-18E or F/A-18F Super Hornet, and why this aircraft is going to be the aircraft that controls War Thunder's future is because it is either going to come, soonish, and we'll see fifth generation after this, or it's going to be delayed, and we're going to see fourth generation, more fourth gens. So obviously, I'm leaning towards the Super Hornet coming either at the end of 2025 or very early in 2026. I think if it comes early in 2025, which I find very unlikely, I'm talking one of the first or second major updates of the year, I think we could see fifth generation by the end of 2025. I don't think that's Gaijin's intentions. I think we will see the Super Hornet either in the December update of 2025 or in the very first update of 2026. Now, why I think this is an aircraft that controls War Thunder's future is because without it getting added to the game, it simply means Gaijin is going to continue to add fifth or fourth generation aircraft and go back and fill out stuff. If they go ahead and add it quickly, it means they're going to get advanced again quickly. We'll see the F-35 and possibly the F-22 later on. I think once we see the Super Hornet, that is going to be when we start to see fifth generation aircraft within that year. But with the Super Hornet not coming to the game yet, and we don't even have a single Hornet version yet, I think it's quite safe to say that, that aircraft will be a very decisive factor in War Thunder's, getting into the higher 5th gen aircraft. I think it's going to not be in the game for a while. I do think we're going to continue to see Gaijin adding newer aircraft. And once we see the first Hornet, which will probably be an F-18A plus or an F-18C, I think we'll go a few more updates, at least. My current prediction is we'll see the Hornet in the summer update of 2025, and we'll see the Super Hornet in the December update of 2025, and then we will see 5th generation aircraft in either the summer or December update of 2026. That just seems pretty likely to me. As the Super Hornet comes to the game, they'll be able to test more advanced radars with it. They can even test the AIM-174B, which I also seem very unlikely, because it's a very advanced air-to-air missile. They can test electronic countermeasures. They can test harms. They can test a whole lot of weaponry that they would want to add with 5th gen or add for 5th gen, which is definitely something that I think is needed to be tested, and I think the Super Hornet is a great platform for it. So like I said, I really think what we're going to end up seeing is when the Super Hornet comes, we'll see a few more updates, maybe one or two max, and then we'll see 5th generation aircraft. And as long as Super Hornet isn't here, I don't think there's a need to talk about future 5th generation aircraft, because once we get that stepping stone, we can talk about it. I don't think Gaijin will add the F-18C and then add the F-35 right after it. I do think it's very likely we'll see at least two Hornet versions, a normal Hornet and a Super Hornet, and then we can talk about 5th generation aircraft. I also feel like it's very likely we'll see at least one, probably two more F-16 versions before we see 5th generation aircraft. So as long as, like I said, as long as we have those stepping stones, we will, not see 5th gen in the game until we see the Super Hornet. And again, I could also be very wrong. This is, again, just my opinion. So my opinion is, not necessarily what your guys' opinion is. So no need to be crazy rude, but do let me know what your opinion is down below in the comments. And obviously, if you guys don't like my opinion, that's perfectly okay. So before we, end the video here, the F-35 Lightning II is obviously a 5th generation aircraft, and it coming to the game would be absolutely game-breaking in the current meta. And a lot of aircraft in the 5th generation region rely on electronic countermeasures, and they rely on super advanced radars. Gaijin currently does not really have electronic countermeasures modeled at all. They don't have, they can model radars. I feel like that's not too big of an issue, but they need to test electronic countermeasures. And another thing they did say the 2025 was going to be a big focus on new AA systems. So it's very likely we'll also talk about the HARM, which is basically a missile specialized in targeting SAM sites. And all of that, electronic countermeasures and SAM sites, can be tested on the Super Hornet. So really, I think the Super Hornet will be used as a testing aircraft for 5th gen. So as long as it is not in the game yet, I don't think we're going to see the F-35 or the F-22 or the J-20 or the Su-57 anytime soon. And I do think we'll also see the Su-30 with thrust vectoring to come to the game before 5th gen as well, to test out the thrust vectoring that's found on the F-22 and the Su-57. So really, it's going to come down to when we're going to see the 4.5 generation aircraft, because now with the Eurofighter in game, it is basically just a countdown to when is the US and Russia going to hit their super advanced 4.5 generation aircraft? The F-15E for the US still lacks its ASA radar, so it can still get an ASA radar, and I don't think Gaijin will leave the F-15E as the king of top tier for the US for very long. It seems very likely that the Hornet is a hyped aircraft. Gaijin sees that. They will definitely be adding some form of the Hornet in 2025, and I know for a fact it's likely. I don't want to say I know for a fact. I do think it's very, very, very likely we see a Super Hornet by the end of the year. If not, and it comes in the summer of 2026, then we might not see the 5th gen until, summer of 27. But I do think we'll see 5th gen either in December of this year or December of 26. I really want to say December of 26 makes the most sense to me logically, because that gives Gaijin 2 years to figure, almost 2 full years to figure out what they're going to fully do with the aircraft. And honestly, I don't want 5th gen to be rushed. I want it to come on its own time. And the Super Hornet is going to definitely be a decisive factor with that, because like I said, you don't have a Super Hornet, you don't have your future of War Thunder. So once we see the Super Hornet, then hey, we can all panic because Gaijin's going to add the F-22 Raptor, and the Raptor is a scary aircraft, don't get me wrong. Anyways, I hope you guys somewhat enjoyed this video. I want to know what your guys' opinion is. Do you guys think the Super Hornet is going to be that deciding aircraft that is going to decipher when we're going to see 5th gen? Or do you think it's not going to be, and we're just going to end up seeing 5th generation without adding the Super Hornet? And do you guys think there's a chance that Gaijin just completely skips the Hornet, the actual F-18A or F-18C, and just goes straight into the Super Hornet? And if they do that, then we're going to be seeing 5th generations a lot sooner than people think. And I do also want to say, I do still think people are unrealistically setting aspects that they think they're going to see 5th generation in 3, 4, 5 years. That's kind of an unrealistic expectation at this point. I think 5th generation is at absolute max 3 years away, but I do think we're going to see it either in this year or next year. I don't think Gaijin will hold out for 3 or 4 years. Anyways, like I said, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and I hope to see you guys in a later video.